Hi everyone, welcome to Accounting and Business 6420, Accounting Data Analytics. I'm Dr. Jim Hoover. I'm really excited to be here and to be your professor for this class. I think it's a great opportunity. Like the assignment that I gave to you, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself so that you can understand my analytics background, and also so that I do the same assignment that you did in introducing myself. First of all, I am an undergrad with a major in accounting from the University of South Florida. Immediately after graduation, I joined the Navy Supply Corps, which is an officer group in the Navy that focuses on the business management of the Navy. The business managers of the Navy, the Supply Corps, do payroll, accounting, contracting, inventory management, supply chain management, food service management, and retail, supporting our ships and sailors in the Navy. While in the Navy, I served on a surface ship, a submarine, and at a naval air station before going to get my MBA in Decision Information Sciences. For those who don't know, Decision Information Sciences is a statistical field that really was a precursor to analytics. After graduating, I spent the rest of my Navy career focused on operations research, doing work like forecasting, inventory optimization, simulation, and statistics. I retired from the Navy in 2009. At that point, I joined Accenture, which is a global consulting firm with about 400,000 people. I work in the Federal Services Group at Accenture, which has about 8,000 people. My background is in management consulting, and it's focused on supply chain and analytics. I took over the data science group at Accenture Federal Services in 2013, and in that role I manage over 75 data scientists. That involves their hiring, training, providing software for them, assigning them to projects, and doing quality assurance on the project outcomes. I also, while at Accenture, just finished my doctorate in business administration from the University of Florida in August of last year, 2017. In my dissertation, I did research on how people make privacy choices in a big data world, so I've been focused on analytics, and it's one of my loves. I'm excited to be teaching this course. There aren't many courses like this in the MBA programs. They tend to either be focused on doing hands-on coding, or they tend to be focused on high-level, how do you use analytics. We're going to work a little bit in between. Like many of you, I'm working full-time, so we'll be doing this course all online. I'll work with each of you to ensure that you get the most out of our time together and encourage you to take advantage of one-on-one interaction capabilities with me using Skype, email, Zoom, or phone calls. So I'm really looking forward to teaching the class. I hope that you find it really interesting and that you get a lot out of it and take it back to your work. Next, we're going to move on to talking about the syllabus in the class. As we move on to talking about the class and the syllabus, you should find the syllabus posted on the portal in several places. It's posted in the syllabus link. It's also posted in the introductory week link. So I want to be sure that you get a chance to look at it, and I'm going to walk through it even though you have it available so that potentially I can emphasize areas that I think are important. The intent of our course is to expose you to the terms, methodologies, software, and business problems involved in business analytics. My goal is to prepare you to understand and manage analytics projects at work. That doesn't mean that you have to be able to do them. It means that you have to understand what a good analytics project looks like. Some key aspects of this course include it being truly remote, as I mentioned a moment ago, meaning all of our classes and interactions will be online. In the syllabus, I've listed multiple ways for you to get a hold of me. I'd like to point out the office hours, which, because as I mentioned earlier, I work full-time, or after the normal working hours. So those are the times that you can reach me. Monday through Friday I work until about 6, and then so I'll be available from 7 to 9. Saturdays I work, I'm available to you pretty much the whole day, and then Sunday in the afternoons I'm available to you as well. You can reach out to me in addition to um, the cell number that you see up there. You can reach me texting, or you can reach me via email at my email address. You can also schedule time to talk to me on Zoom or by phone, and we'll get together and answer your questions. I want to talk for a second about some of the tools that we're going to use in the course. The course itself um, is not all about doing you being able to do analytics projects. We are going to do some, but in an 8-week course, I'd rather you focus on the things that would allow you to manage analytics projects rather than focusing on trying to teach you a few techniques that are really not comprehensive. When we do the hands-on, we're going to use tools that you have access to, that you can get access to at work, that almost everyone has either already on their work computer, like Microsoft Excel, or RStudio and RapidMiner Studio, which are both open source products, so software products. Those last two that I mentioned, RStudio and RapidMiner Studio, are very powerful analytics tools. You may not get to use them, but I definitely want in your work, but I definitely want to expose you to them. We will also be using data sets for when we walk through the example use cases. And sometimes I'll give you articles to read or consider. I'll put those in the discussion forums, as well as maybe at the end of some of the lectures. I'll also mention some books that you may want to consider that are easy to read, easy to understand, that explain analytics. That's really optional. The textbook that I've chosen for the class is one that I think gives you a great introduction to analytics. There aren't any really comprehensive textbooks on big data analytics that are really focused on the practitioner level. They tend to be focused on doing, or they tend to be very high level. A couple of books to mention that are like that is there's a great book we're going to talk about in session 1 called Analytics at Work, and Competing on Analytics. Those are kind of high level books that are really CEO level, kind of why should you do analytics. And then there are other books that tend to be focused on how to use a specific tool or how to do a specific analytics technique. This book that we've chosen, Data Mining for the Masses, is one where the introductory chapters explain the analytics process in a way that we're going to use in class. It's basically the methodology for doing analytics, and then that actually walks you through how to use one of those tools that we talked, or the tools that we talked about, RapidMiner and R. So the book itself is fairly cheap relative to other textbooks. It's available on Amazon. There are 2 versions of the book. The one that we'll be using is the second edition. This first edition is actually available online for free. The difference between the 2 books, because they both cover some similar material at the beginning, is that the second book covers the more recent versions of the software tool. And in my mind, it's also better written, a little bit easier to follow. So here's an example of where I'm listing, an optional book. If you do decide that you want to explore more after our 8 weeks, and I hope you do, there are books like Data Science for Business that do deeper dives into specific capabilities and techniques that you can use. So let me talk for a minute about the grading. This version of the syllabus, which has a -1 at the end, is one that I just updated. And the reason that I updated it is that it's a requirement that the introductory assignment be assigned a grade. I did not make any changes to the assignment if you happen to already have completed it. So I'm going to assign 5% to that assignment. The grading will be you get 5% if you turn it in, and if you don't, it won't really matter because you won't really be part of the class. We're going to do 3 short papers, 1 to 2 pages each, that will be required. Those papers are, and I've completed the assignments in the assignment list already, those papers are really to walk you through how, as a business leader, you're going to use analytics, how to describe analytics, what some of the terms are. I think you'll find that easy to complete, but it will require some thinking on your part. We will have 1 midterm quiz, and I took 5% off the midterm quiz to put 5% up into the introductory assignment, so it will count less on the overall grade. The midterm quiz is going to be focused on 2 areas. It's going to be focused on the terminology we're going to do in week 1, and it's going to be focused on the analytics methodology that we will be doing in weeks 2 and 3. If you utilize the PowerPoints and listen to the videos that I provide, you will be well prepared for the quiz at midterm. After that, we're going to do an analytics case outcome analysis. We will be walking through how to use some of these tools that I've talked about. I'll provide you with a data set, and in that data set, then I'll ask you to walk through the steps that you've done in class with a new data set and to write up the outcomes of the analysis in a short paper. You can copy and paste pictures of your analysis into the paper. So I bring this up because I want you to be able to actually get hands-on in the class. The final analytics project paper is one that we've used multiple times before where I work. Essentially what you do is you're going to take the analytics methodology we review, you're going to pick a project. In that project, which you can pick from work or you can pick from the internet or you can pick just because you're interested in it, you're going to describe the entire analytics project process, the methodology we're going to cover. You're going to describe the data, you're going to describe how you would do it, how you would measure the outcome, and then you're going to present kind of an end-to-end approach to doing an analytics project, including the outbrief to your leadership, as if you were giving a presentation to your board of directors or to your leadership at your company. I think that's an important capability to have, and if you can do that at the end of the class, then I think I would call the class a success. Be sure I don't want to focus on anything else. Obviously, one thing that's been mentioned to me is that you have been working in groups. I want to give you the opportunity to work individually. I think that the kind of work we're doing can be done individually, and if you have to work in a group, it may not be the best environment for the kind of stuff that we're going to be doing. So I'll give you a break from some of your group work in this class. Last thing I want to do is go over the tentative schedule of classes. So this week we're just doing the introduction. Week 1, starting next Saturday, we're going to go over analytics definitions. We'll talk about reading assignments in the textbook. We will talk about the course project and paper 1. And next week is when the first introductory assignment is due as well. It will be due at 11:55 on March 10th. In the second week, we're going to focus, instead of on terminology, we're going to focus on big data analytics processes, and we're going to begin a walkthrough of how to do an analytic project from end to end. And then in week 3, we're going to discuss, we'll finalize the analytics process discussion. We'll talk about use cases. Use cases in analytics are example projects, and it helps give context to different techniques, methodologies, and tools. And we will also, at that point, talk about the paper 2 requirement. And then the following week, March 31st, we'll begin talking about analytics software. First of all, I'll start with a high level, what's the difference between software products that you use for analytics, and then we'll use analytics techniques. We'll talk about those based on the kind of business problem that you're trying to solve. And then lastly, I'll talk more about how you manage analytics teams, what those people who are on the analytics teams are like, how do you get the most out of your analytics team. At the end of that session, at the end of that day, then paper 2, which will be about the analytics process, will be due. On week 5, April 7th, we'll do a project walkthrough, and we'll do, in class, we'll do a hands-on demonstration of an analytics project from end to end using the analytics software that we're going to be using in the class. Then we'll talk about the paper 3 discussion. Paper 3 is a more complete end-to-end project. Then we will review the use case project. In particular, in that week, we're going to talk about accounting use cases and business use cases to kind of give you more background on that. In week 7, we're going to talk about the use of prediction models based on the business problem and how you know that when you get an outcome, that your outcome is going to be good. We'll have the analytics use case paper due, and then finally, in week 8, April 27th, that's when final student projects are due, and that's the final presentation. Between the 21st of April and the 27th of April, we'll have ample opportunity for you to reach out to me if you're in any way having trouble with your final paper. I'll give you the information on the final paper well in advance so that you have lots of time to work on it. But the thing that I would point out is that you will need to use some of the information you get in the earlier weeks to be able to successfully complete the final student project. So while you can get ahead, there's some stuff that is probably going to require you to add near the end as we cover some other topics. So that covers the syllabus, and we're going to move on. I'll add one more topic to this video, which will be to discuss the project or the introductory assignment, where you're going to introduce yourself to me. So let's move on to that. I'm going to open the introductory assignment, which is available on the portal. Give you a little background. We're required to do a project to illustrate that you're in class and that you're taking class by the 10th day of the class. So these assignments are going to be due no later than 11:55 p.m. on next Saturday, March the 10th. And the assignment's really simple. I don't want you to write a long paper, but I want you to give me a short paper that talks about yourself, where you're working or where you've worked in the past, and what your experience is. The second area that I'd like you to talk about in the paper is a description of the business field that you hope to work in following graduation. If you're currently working in the field and you intend to stay there, that's fine too. Just describe that to me. And then lastly, describe any exposure you've had to business analytics prior to this course. That'll help me as I'm working on the final classes to be able to say, oh, okay, they're at this stage in their understanding of analytics. I'm going to assume that most of you don't have a lot of exposure, but that could be wrong. So if you tell me that you have more exposure, then I can tweak the rest of the course. Once you've completed your assignment, upload the completed document to the portal, and that way I'll document your attendance. The change in this assignment is that it will be graded, but it's going to be, if you turn it in and you've addressed the 3 areas, you'll get the entire 5 points. I did reduce the quiz from 20 points to 15 points to offset for this. I will use all the information that you provide in this initial assignment to help me modify any of the future lectures in the course. Thanks, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you more, and I'm looking forward to reading about your backgrounds. That concludes our introductory video, and if you have feedback on the video, whether or not you can hear it or not, or other things, let me know. Thank you. Bye.